Okay, 2.3, we'll talk about graphical misrepresentation of data. If somebody make a graph, can we tell whether this graph is intentionally misled or not, or in giving a proper information, fair information? And also when you draw a graph on your own, you need to be careful about these things as well. So we're going to talk about those. So the whole idea is depending on what kind of mirror that you are using, you're reflecting, even though you're having exactly the same data, same person, uh, depend on your lens, it will actually look different. This is actually a picture that I took it in my bed at 10 o'clock at night. Uh, it was actually from our Kirksville local news years ago. And when I see this picture, I thought, totally this one, I need to use it for my Step 190 lecture. So anyway, this is just a simple weather forecast data. And obviously, as you can see from temperature, it's probably not winter. It's sometime, actually, it was sometime September, I believe, September or October. So anyway, 77, 76, 74, 73, 76, 83, that's a temperature or whatever the timeline is there. What do you think about this data, this graph, I guess? Well, there's a number. Do you think there is, uh, you can probably help to improve this graph? One of the things that you can see is, I mean, those numbers are meaningful, but do you think those bars are actually meaningfully used? I mean, I understand. I took a picture at night in my bedroom, so it has a little bit of reflection there. But there's you cannot really see the where the bar goes and how it is different, and anything like that. So this picture really doesn't give us any additional information other than this number. And then you can also point out that the color is just not the background color, and actually bar color really not distinctive at all. So in that sense, it's probably not a really good graph. Fortunately, a couple years later, I found that they actually improved the graph a little bit. Okay, so here is the time, and here is actual temperature, and then they were kind of using different kind of graph, and then also has it's going up while the temperature is going up. So it's definitely better graph than the first one, but still, can we also improve this graph? And how can we do that? I don't have that many criticism here, but still it is really hard to tell, what's the difference and, how much of it, as you can see that 80 to 81 versus 70 to 77, that difference is almost the height difference is almost the same. So it really doesn't give us an information in the graph wise, how much of a rapidly the temperature rises or decreases. So something like that might actually help her in make a better graph. And now I'm gonna actually show you some of the graph that is used main media, mainly Fox News and CNN. A lot of them are actually from Fox News. Again, I'm not really trying to be political or anything like that, but Fox News is actually a little famous to use the misleading graphs. So it just happens to be there are many of graphs are from the Fox News graph. The diff is about it's a long time ago because it's actually um, 2011, I want to say. 2013. Never mind. Okay, so there's a January 1st, 2013. So it's been a while, but if Bush tax cuts expires, what's going to happen to your tax rate, top tax rate? So it goes 35% to the 39.6%. That difference, 35 to 39.6%, probably is big and probably is not big, I mean, depending on who you ask. However, the point I want to make here is just looking at this graph, it really looks like a huge difference, right? So I can see the intention of the the graph maker want to really emphasize that once the tax cut expires, this group will totally pay a lot more taxes. Yeah. CNN also did a similar thing actually. So this is the question based on what you have heard or read about the case. Do you agree with the court decision to have the feeding tube removed? So there's a Democrats' opinion, Republicans' results opinion, independent opinion. Just looking at that, what can you say? Your first impression is, wow, the people really agree with a lot more with the Democrats' position than Republican position and independent position. So it actually the difference is exaggerated. But what if we make uh, the start of the question is, are they really that much different? If you draw different graph, I mean, exactly same graph, but the y scale is different. It goes from 0 to 100. 62% and 54% is not necessarily that much different. So this is for this particular data set. The second one is probably more correct graph and better convey the correct information. So I mean, slightly higher for the first category, Democrats categories, but they're really not that much different. Okay? Sometimes you might want to exaggerate those smaller differences. For example, unemployment rate, whether you have 9.0, versus 8.8% might actually be a humongous difference. So it is okay for this one, especially when it is time. It is okay that you're using not necessarily start from 0, but start from 8 to 10 or whatever the range. So you can see your focus is whether it goes up or down and all that kind of stuff. So it goes down a little bit, up a little bit, and steady a little bit. One of the things about this graph is actually they were wrong with the very last one. So short period of time that you see it on TV. I don't know how many people can catch that, but that one need to be a lot down there. For this graph, I would probably recommend a little bit of simplifying those graphs so you can actually focus on up and down a little bit. There's a text and like lines there, and it's a little bit confusing. So other graph you can see is all the colors are pretty much gone, but you focus on just up and down, and you fix that the last one, so you can kind of see slightly better trend graph there. Offshore oil spills. Well, the first impression is, oh my God, 70, 80s, there are a lot of oil spills, but oil spills are going down. So it's not really serious problem. Now look at this graph a little bit more closely and tell me what's going on. Obviously, if it's not scaled, probably 3.6 million to 1,000 is probably bigger changes. But one thing that you need to be careful is the range of the year. So this one is data from 1970 to 80, 1990 to 2000, and this one is only for 2000 to 2004. Is that a fair comparison? Not really, right? So you kind of need to be careful about those things. When these are the 10-year range, this one should be 10-year range as well, if it's kind of comparing apple and oranges. How about just simple chart, table? Did scientists falsify research to support their own theories on global warming? I guess that word changes to climate change. Somewhat likely, very likely, not very likely. There are actually several things going on. This chart, one thing you notice that if you add these numbers, This one is actually more than 100%. So don't know where the more than 100% coming from. Maybe people can check multiple boxes, maybe. And then by swapping somewhat likely to the very likely, swapping that, the direction is actually changed. So for more accurate representation, I think this one should go up there. So very likely, somewhat likely, and not very likely. That will be actually better order of the representation. Cost of gas. Last year, last week, current. Obviously, from this graph, you can tell that the oil price is getting up. One thing is a little weird is they were comparing current data set to the last week to the last year. And you're not really sure that what's happening in the middle. But again, for a selective point, what they were saying is oil price is going up. This is actually misrepresenting the data on purpose. Actual data actually look like that. So we can just focus on one point, maybe national average. So this is actually data set. And then looking at the data set, what can you say about gas price? It goes up and down. It fluctuates, right? That's only the information that you probably get. But what they did is get what they the those graph, the previous slide, what it did is pick up this value, pick up this value, and pick up that value. And then just saying that it is going up. So it is totally intentionally choose only the information they want to show and then kind of misrepresent the data set. Okay, so there are actually websites that you can see a whole bunch of these kind of misleading graphs, and some of them are from probably simple mistakes, and but a lot of them are actually intentional misleading. Okay, so now you're ready to do all the homework assignment in the chapter 2.